Hello everyone, this is Lolly, and today I wanted to share with you my twist and pop cards that I'm making using the design team kit from Aunty, Vera, Scrap and Craft September, which is, the theme is See You in the Craft Room, and C is spelled like this, See You in the Craft Room. Well, you may have heard of twist and pop cards. I've seen them. They've been around for quite a while. A friend sent me one and I fell in love with it. And I asked her where she had seen it. So I think she just said there were videos all over the place. So this is what a twist and pop is. It twists and pops out. And they've been around for so long, I have no clue where they originated. All I know is that the video that I saw for the tutorial was from May Made It Crafts. And this one I did according to her instructions, and I wasn't going to redo a video, but what I found was, and she does mention it in the video, that the device, the pop-up device, when she does it, this inside mechanism sticks out about that much from this. So it barely is covered by the cover, and I really don't care for that because there's nothing for my thumbs to grab on. It catches. So I wanted to alter the pattern, alter the dimensions, so that this mechanism inside would not be sticking out like that. So I'm going to give you those dimensions. First of all, I'll just show you this one completely. There were a lot of kind of busy papers in the set, and this works really well for that. There's a cover right here. There's the mechanism, which is the white paper. There's these mats here. I'm going to call this the arm, and then there's these little cards that go on there. So I'll give you all the dimensions for the way I'm doing it, and then I will give you the video in the link down below, a video link down below to her video, so you can see her put it together. Like I said, I don't even know if it was originally her idea or not. I don't know where it came from. These letters here I just did on the Cameo, and I offset them to give white around them because otherwise it was going to be hard to see those. And I did use this is the liquid pearls that came in the kit to just really accent these little bubbles here. And I used some glossy accents to bring out the seaweed and some of the stickers in the kit. And then I just used some pearls on that. So let's get started, and I'll show you what you're going to need for the mechanism. You need, this is cardstock. You need an 8.5 by 10 3/4. So this is an 8.5 by 11 with a 1/4 of an inch shaved off. It's a little dirty. It got smudged, but that's okay because it's really not going to be showing right there. That part isn't. So on the short end here, we're going to score this at 2 1/4 and 4 1/4 and 6 1/4. So far that's all the same. This mechanism is the same dimensions that she gives in her video. On the long side, 3 7/8. So in other words, go to 4 and then 1 notch to the left. 5 3/8. In other words, go to 5 1/2 and 1 notch to the left. And then 6 7/8, or go to 7 and 1 notch to the left. So what you're going to see after you do that, it's going to look like this. And I do this because it's just so hard to see what this looks like. Let me go up a little bit here. It's hard to see the score lines, so I drew them out so that you would see what this paper looks like. So on this pencil, we're going to cut off these rectangles on the corners here. You do want to be a little careful because so this is what it's going to look like. I'm sorry. You want to be careful cutting though, because this smooth edge needs to be nice and straight. On the short end here, you can move your scissors, angle the handle toward the center, and then cut at a little bit of an angle. So cut the long one very neatly. And on the short one, angle your scissors toward the center, a little bit toward the point. So that's what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to do it here. On the long one, I'm going to cut it as neatly as I can while on video. And on the short one, I'm going to angle my handle of my scissors toward the center and just get a little bit of an angle there. Okay, and you can save these. Of course, they're not perfect rectangles, but you can smooth them out on your paper cutter to get them perfect 90-degree angles. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of movement here, just so I can see what I'm doing. Now on this, what I'm going to show you, I guess I need to show you on here, so I should cut this out. Okay, I'm going to show you on this because it has the lines. What we're going to do is this is going to be my pivot point where this middle X is right here. I'm going to bring this line over to this line, folding at the point. And she had a good thing to do is she put her her bone folder in there to make sure her point was nice and sharp, but then you just line up those two lines. And I'm doing it this way because otherwise you won't see it on here. You need to see these lines. And then do it this way. Keep that point down and bring this line to this line, like this. Watching that point to make sure the point is perfect. And that's what it's going to look like. So now I'm going to do it on this one. Hold that point down, bring this line to that line. It's the center line in all of these scores. And the only reason for that there is so that you can see what you're doing. You don't need that line here, but we do need this in our folding process. Now I'm going to hold that down and bring this line down to that line, making sure my point is straight. Okay, here's what we have now. So when you bring this up, pinch these two sides and bring it together and then fold them down. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so it was like this. I pinched these together and pulled them up and then pushed them down with that. So that's the mechanism right there. Now for the arm that goes across, this is the arm here. You need whatever you want, solid or patterned cardstock, and I have some here. This is the difference in the measurement. This is the difference between what she shared and what I'm showing you today, so that it won't extend beyond the card. Mine is 3 inches by 10.5 inches. And on the long side, I want to score it at 2 5/8. So find 2 1/2 and move 1 to the right. Oops, I like to use the big ball. 2 1/2 and go 1 to the right. So that's 2 5/8. Then score it at 5 1/4, and then score it at 7 7/8, or go to 8 and move 1 to the left. And that's all you have to do for that. Now, whatever pattern you want in front, I don't want the busy one, I want this in front. So you want that to go up and these to fold down so that when it's on your table, it's going to look like a W, okay? And that's going to go in your mechanism. Now we can go ahead and decorate these now with a little, let's see where I put them. I pre-cut these to save time. These are the little cards that I want to go in here. And these are 2 3/8 by 2 3/4. So I'm just going to glue those in. And then what I did for this one, I cut out the words sale on the cameo as well. And I just want to put those right in the middle. I'm looking for my fine point. I just have a hard time with that S, which way it goes up. Okay. So that's that. Actually, I'll leave this undone because we want to adhere this now to our mechanism. So you want to take the mechanism with the flat areas up and down and lay this over it. But I need to show you this so you can see what I'm doing. This fold line here is going to match the center line here, just like that. Okay, here we go. Bring that over. And it's centered. It's centered on that score line, this score line, and this score line. I'm going to hold that down and fold one of these over, and I'm going to glue just the top portion, which is this right here. The only part that's sticking out is where I'm going to glue that. And then push this down while still holding on to this. I don't want it to move yet. Fold this one down. And because I glued the top left corner, I'm going to glue the bottom right. We need to have it on different corners. So top, bottom. And you can do it either way. You can glue the top corner here in the bottom one or the other way around. I just want to hold this just for a second. Okay, it was important to do this first before matting this, because once we mat this, we won't be able to see these lines, and we really need to be able to see those lines. So the next thing we're going to do is to mat these two pieces right here, and I need to get some paper out for that. And I also think I'm going to pull this out, because I realize you can't even see my paper, so there we go, much better. Okay, so these mats are going to be 3 3/4 wide, 5 1/4 inch tall, and then you have to get them both facing the right way, so I want the waves going up. Alrighty, let's close this. See how it collapses like that? Now what I'm going to do is turn this over, and I'm lining it up so I see the border all the way around, and I've done this with many, many explosion cards that I've done. Trace the back here, and I'm going to cut just below that line there. And add to my corners pile. I might be using those later. Okay, and then take this one. See, this one's going to be that way. So this is the top, this is the bottom, but I want the point down here, so I'm going to turn this upside down to trace it. There we go, and cut that as well. And then when I'm done putting this one together, I have a couple more that I've done to share with you. Okay, make sure I'm going in there up the right way. Yes, so let's glue these in here. Now, you don't usually do a whole lot with this mat. Now I'm putting that in there and just making sure I'm lining up the bottom so that it's I have a good border around it. And I'm not, when I put this inside, I'm not going over my fold lines. Now, if you want to decorate here, you need to kind of go with flat things, because if you put thick embellishments, as the card folds, it's going to scrape against those embellishments, so you need to be kind of careful there. And there we go. And this one as well, making sure I don't go over those fold lines inside, and I give myself a little bit of the white border here. Okay, so that's that part there. Now for the cover. At this point, what you need for a cover is a piece that's 4 1/4 inch wide, 11 inches long, and then on the long side, score it at 5 1/2. So 4 1/4 by 11. So when you're looking at your paper, you want to see if it's a 12 inch. Let's see if I can find one for you. Like this. If you're trying to figure out which way to put it in your cutter, you want put it vertical and then cut 4 1/4 inches in this way. Okay, that way you always get the angle right. I have found that it's better to decorate the cover before putting it on, because once I put it on, it's kind of bumpy. So here's the front. You can see that's kind of upside down. And what I did this time was I got out this stamp that I've had for eons from Whippersnapper Designs, and it doesn't... Okay, what happened was I accidentally cut off the end of my video. I was just showing you this Whippersnapper stamp, and so here's what it is. I had colored it in with Copic markers, and I'd mounted it on red, glued it on the cover, and I put this rickrack across the bottom using my Fabri-Tac adhesive. Now, I want to show you how I actually put the cover, the mechanism into the cover, but since I lost that part of the video, I'll show you on this. I cut a cover the exact same size, and it is the 4 1/2, did I say, by 11? 4 1/4 or 4 1/2. I will, but I already gave you the measurements, I know. So it is 4 1/4 by 11, excuse me. So this is the mechanism. This is the one I was playing with and demoing while I was learning the new measurements that I needed to do and to see if it would work. So all you need to do, and I stamped this so that we could see the cover has a front side. I wanted to make sure my cover is facing the right way, my mechanism is facing the right way, and then I just lay it in there, lining it up with the point up in the crease, and I'm pushing it in there to make sure it's in the crease, and then it's centered left and right. Well, this is really cheap cardstock. Look at that. It's got a hole in it already. Okay, maybe I just scored it too hard. So when I get this lined up, I'm going to take my Scotch tacky glue, glue it all over here, and this is how I also glue my explosion cards in. Press that down and hold it, flip it over, and do the same thing here. And this way you get it centered, whereas if you just glue the whole thing at once and try to put it in there, it gets a little cumbersome. Put it down there and fold. And that's how you glue the mechanism into your card, making sure everything is lined up right. Okay, so that's that. And here you go. Actually, did I measure that one wrong? I think I did measure this one wrong. It is 4 1/4 by 11. So that was the end of that video that I accidentally chopped off. And here are the 4 of them all together. Again, I have some new friends I'm going to be meeting, and I'm going to give them each one of these. Looking forward to doing more paper crafts and doing more with this kit. Thank you so much for watching and giving me a thumbs up, and for subscribing to my channel.